This is a video tutorial looking at the supraspinatus tendon in the shoulder, and it's important before you even start to scan the shoulder to think about the actual position that the patient is in. The patient should be in a position with the arm extended, and this enables the humeral head to come forward from underneath the acromion process. When you place your probe on, you can then see as much of the tendon as you possibly can, depending on the range of extension. But if the arm is in neutral, then the acromion will shadow most of the tendon distal insertion to the greater tuberosity. You also want to bear in mind the surface markings of where the supraspinatus runs. It's very easy to get lost around the shoulder, but you want to be thinking about the supraspinatus and, just broadly speaking, where it runs from and to. And that will be the angle where you will follow with your probe. If you get lost and you're not sure where you are, and your probe is drifting over this way, then clearly you won't be following the supraspinatus in its true plane of movement. You can also start to appreciate the coracoid process, the long head of biceps tendon, and start to get an appreciation from a surface anatomy point of view where you should be. If we then put the probe on, we're initially going to use the landmark of the long head of biceps tendon. And we can see the long head of biceps tendon very clearly on the right hand side of the screen here. It's that bright white oval structure, and it just sits within the bicipital groove, which we can prove to ourselves by coming a little bit further distal, and there we see the bicipital groove. We can roll up and we can see that biceps tendon. Now, we know anatomically that if we roll our probe slightly lateral, we'll be onto the greater tuberosity from a skeletal anatomy point of view. And this is where we know that the supraspinatus tendon attaches onto. So here is the greater tuberosity, and then if you bring your probe up, following that plane of motion that I talked about earlier on, we'll see the supraspinatus tendon appear very clearly on the screen. We can see some key anatomic landmarks as well. We can see the bright outline of the humeral head or the greater tuberosity. We can see the dark layer of the articular cartilage. We can see the bulk of the supraspinatus tendon, which is uniform across the screen here in a short axis view. We can see a very thin layer, which is the subacromial bursa. And if we just gently rotate the shoulder, you can see the tendon move independently of the deltoid layer above it. And that is where you will see your subacromial subdeltoid bursa. This is a short axis view of supraspinatus, and we need to just follow this all the way round, keeping it nice and bright all the way round to its most posterior fibres. And we know that at this point we'll start to see the fibres of infraspinatus also come in to join this essentially conjoint tendon. Now we can see here the deep fibres of the final part of supraspinatus, and we can see the superficial layer here that is the infraspinatus, which we can see again just running in through the back part of supraspinatus. And you want to be, broadly speaking, having a width of approximately 2 centimeters across the screen here, and that is what you know will be the general width of supraspinatus. We talked earlier on about just making sure that we understand where that anterior edge is of the supraspinatus. This is a common area to see pathology, but you can see it very clearly here because we've got the bicep tendon sitting just adjacent to it. We're now going to move on and have a look at supraspinatus in long axis. So if we rotate our probe round, we can start to see the supraspinatus in long axis. And again, if we drop medial, we'll see part of the biceps tendon, won't we? In long axis view now, we then run across and we'll start to see that view there of the supraspinatus. It's got that very distinctive appearance of a parrot beak appearance at that point. And we can see it very, very clearly here on the screen, that steep insertion point. It's important to bear in mind that the fibres of supraspinatus only attach onto areas where there's not the articular cartilage. And again, we can see the articular cartilage there, and then we can see the distal insertion of the supraspinatus. Just be mindful as well that if you roll your probe over you'll see the dependent region of the subacromial subdeltoid bursa, and it's always worth having a check through that area to see if there's any excess fluid in the bursa that informs your decision making. Just coming back again now to that long axis view of the supraspinatus, just be mindful of this region that I'm going to show you with my cursor here. These are the deep fibres of the tendon attaching onto the greater tuberosity, but you can see how they go slightly dark due to anisotropy. You can utilise your probe angles and just toe in the probe in to really explore those fibres a bit more thoroughly, but just be mindful of that possible pitfall. If we then rotate our probe, or not rotate, but slide our probe that little bit more posterior, we see how the skeletal anatomy starts to flatten out. And at that point, we know that we've moved to posterior and that we're onto the actual longitudinal view of the infraspinatus tendon. So rolling forwards again, you see that view there of the supraspinatus, and then rolling back, we come onto that long view again of the infraspinatus. So that distinction between those 2 points is actually really, really important. Supraspinatus with its steep parrot beak insertion, and infraspinatus with that much more shallow insertion posteriorly. But that just helps you start to orientate yourself as to where you will see the supraspinatus tendon and how to be confident with finding it.